Hey guys, here we go. I'm back with the next episode in the Tamiya Mazda rx7-r1 build. Got quite a bit done this long weekend, and let me show you where I'm at. First thing we want to look at is the rear suspension. This is an amazing piece here. This is the entire rear suspension on the subframe, completely assembled. It's a very well detailed part. Sub-assembly, I mean. It's seems to have all the components well represented, and super well detailed. There are not a lot of parts to this, and this is really not a very heavy parts intensive kit. But what they do have is so well done and so well detailed that it really doesn't seem to matter. There are just two main sections, upper and lower part, the differential and rear axle assembly, and the shocks. But once it's painted up and all the details are done, it looks like there's a lot more parts in there than there actually are. The control arms are all molded to the upper and lower subframe assemblies. The shocks and the spindles are all basically one part, and that will complete the entire rear subframe. And then you just slap the rear brake rotors and discs on, the rear brake rotors and calipers on, and you have your entire rear subframe. It's a very simple build, and there were only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 parts. But like I said, with all the painting done and all the details highlighted, really looks like a much more parts intensive piece. Now I painted the undercarriage cover here. This is done in Model Master steel. The control arms are all done in Tamiya. No, is that Model Masters? Oh, I'm sorry. Model Master steel, and the control arms are all done in Model Masters aluminum. I really like the Model Masters paints. Gonna miss them when they're all gone. The black portions of the subframe are done in Tamiya semi-gloss black. The shocks are painted Tamiya yellow, with the Tamiya titanium silver for the control arms, and titanium gold for the accents on and the bolt heads. The calipers are going to be painted the exact same color as the body of the car, which is Tamiya metallic orange. And then there was just some light weathering done to the black portions of it using the Tamiya weathering powder. And just to give it a used look, as this is not a new car, it's a sports car. The guy drives it, enjoys it. So it's got a little bit of wear and tear on it, but it's still in really good shape. There you can see a bit of the weathering powder and how it makes the paint look as if it's chipped on the edges, a little bit of wear on it. The differential, the cover, is not a separate part, but it is so well molded that once it's painted up, it does look like a separate piece that was attached to the rear of the differential. I'm very happy with the way this came out. I did have one issue with a bad reaction to the paint. Not really sure what caused it, but that part of the control arm had a weird reaction to the paint that I used. But overall, doesn't really detract from the part. So I'm very happy with this entire assembly. Alright, let's move on to the next update. Okay, here we have the exhaust completed, fully painted. I tried something a little different this time on as opposed to my usual exhaust painting as you've seen on my other videos. I added a little bit of blue to discolor the metal from the heat using Tamiya clear blue. The base color on this exhaust is the Tamiya titanium silver, and then it's got highlights using the Alclad burnt iron, and then topped off with detailing for using the Tamiya panel line paint. You can see some of the blue discoloration on the muffler and on the exhaust tips, which are done with the Molotov chrome pen, and then the blue sprayed over the tips of the exhaust. It's my first time trying this with the blue. Mostly happy with the way it came out, but I will have to have a little more practice with using that. But I like the look of the exhaust. I'm pleased with the way that came out. Okay, now let's move on to the biggest item that we have so far, which is the engine compartment is completed. I've added quite a few details. As you can see, there are wiring harnesses running each side of the engine compartment. There is, let's see if we can point this out. I added an extra component here with the wiring running down to the front. I've added 2 fuse boxes, which are in the real car. On this side, we have, let's see if we can focus in on this. Brake lines running to the brake hydraulic unit. More harnesses running back and forth. We've added, let's see. We've added relays. And a mounting bracket here. The wiring harness and all the wire stays to hold the harness in place there. The wiring harnesses are made with Tamiya wire bundles that you can buy straight from them. Come in various sizes for depicting different types of harnesses. The wire stays are made using bare metal foil, and then also the clips here that hold the wiring in is made using artist wire, which you can pick up at any Hobby Lobby or craft store. And we have more of the harnesses running across. You can see each fuse box has its own wiring coming to and meeting the main harness here. The harness comes up, branches off, goes to each fuse box. Then we have another harness running back here to the front to this other box. And that helps to busy up the engine compartment, as this is a really nice kit, but I just thought there were too many empty spaces in the engine compartment, which didn't quite look right to me. We also have the coolers here on each side, all painted up. The bar here painted in Tamiya Italian red, and then the Molotov chrome pen on the clamps that hold it in. On the strut tower brace, and then I also added these decals for the fuse locations, which I had left over from a Porsche kit, which I built a while back. Also, in the rear here, I've added the brake lines that run across from the hydraulic unit to the master cylinder. And then I saw another line here, which looks like some sort of a vacuum line in the reference photos. So I added that also. So I think I'm pretty much done with the detailing going on in the engine compartment. I think it looks a lot better than it did without it. And as you can see, all the shading that I did with the all-clad paints adds realistic shadows to the recesses in the engine compartment, which really adds to giving it a realistic look in the scale that it's in. And we can get a look at it underneath. All the detail painting is done. Only thing that's left now is to install the rear suspension. And then lay the exhaust in over that. And you can see how much detail just comes out, especially with the chassis painted in the body color, so that all of the individual parts just stand out even more. Brings a really good looking lower, the underbody of the car. Even though this is a very simple kit, the molds are so good and everything's engraved so well that with just some detailing, it looks amazing. Here we have the beginnings of the front subframe. Control arms are painted. So this front suspension will be the next step in this build. And here I'm getting the front calipers ready for paint. Really nicely engraved. If you can see that there, we can make that out. The Mazda, the logo is engraved right onto the caliper. And really, really nicely done. Alright guys, that's pretty much going to do it for this update. I'm going to get back to the paint booth and paint those calipers. And then I will see you on the next one, where we'll have more details to go over as I build the front suspension. And then we're going to start on the interior. Alright guys, remember, like, subscribe, give a thumbs up. Tell me what you think of the build so far. And I will see you on the next one.